In the ever-evolving world of American muscle cars, few names stir the heart quite like the Ford Mustang. It's not merely a car. It's a cultural artifact, a living thread in the American tapestry of speed, style, and self-expression. By 1970, the Mustang had already solidified its reputation as the original pony car. But the winds of change were blowing through Detroit. The muscle car era was reaching its zenith, but it was also beginning to feel the pressure of shifting markets, rising insurance costs, and tightening emissions standards. Ford found itself at a crossroads. Sales of the Mustang dropped a staggering 36% from the previous year, yet even in decline, the car remained America's best-selling pony car, with 191,239 units delivered. That's the paradox of 1970. A moment of brilliance shadowed by the early whispers of an ending. Within that large number, however, hide the true gems, the rare configurations that turned the everyday Mustang into something nearly mythical. One of those is the 1970 Ford Mustang convertible equipped with the 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8. It's the kind of car that not only defined a generation but transcended it, becoming an object of obsession for collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. When you see one today, it doesn't just sit quietly under fluorescent lights at an auction. It radiates history, strength, and the unspoken thrill of a machine that once ruled America's open roads. The convertible itself already set apart any Mustang from the pack. In an era when performance was the main selling point, most customers chose coupes or fastbacks. Convertibles were luxurious, a little softer, a little more expensive, and less about the quarter mile and more about cruising with the top down on a warm afternoon. In 1970, just 7,673 buyers opted for the convertible body style, less than 4% of total production. That alone makes it special. But when you pair it with the legendary 428 Cobra Jet engine, rarity turns into something extraordinary. The Cobra Jet was Ford's ultimate weapon in the late 1960s horsepower wars. Debuting in mid-1968, it was engineered for one purpose: to dominate. Derived from the FE engine family, the 428 CJ used a fortified bottom end, high-flow heads, a functional ram air induction system, and enough torque to make the rear tires cry for mercy. It wasn't a delicate engine. It was a brute, tuned to fight Mopar's 446 pack and Chevy's 427 head-on. During its short but glorious lifespan, the Cobra Jet became synonymous with unfiltered American performance. In 1968, Ford sold only 1,299 of them, partly because it arrived mid-year, but demand skyrocketed in 1969, with over 13,000 built. By 1970, its final year, production dwindled to 3,489 units, including Super Cobra Jet models but excluding Shelby's. It was a farewell tour for one of the most fearsome power plants of its time. Combine that mighty 428 CJ with a convertible body, and you end up with a unicorn. According to the Cobra Jet registry, just 203 examples were produced from 1968 to 1970 in this configuration. And of those, only 47 were made in 1970. Fewer than 50 cars. That number would be considered rare even by Ferrari standards, but for a Mustang, a mass-produced icon, it's practically unheard of. That's the allure of this car, built in an era of abundance, yet as rare as a whisper in the wind. And then there are the details that elevate this particular example beyond even that rarefied air. For one, it came from the factory with air conditioning, a feature almost no one wanted on a convertible back then. It seemed redundant, unnecessary, even wasteful. You didn't buy a convertible to keep the air inside. You bought it to let the world in. Yet two people in 1970 decided they wanted their Cobra Jet drop tops with AC, and this was one of them. That's not rare, that's statistically invisible. But the story doesn't stop there. It also left the factory wearing a triple black color scheme. Black paint, black top, black interior. In the world of muscle cars, triple black is the equivalent of a tuxedo with a concealed dagger. Elegant, ominous, and absolutely commanding. Somewhere along the way, the car was repainted Wimbledon white, perhaps during a restoration that sought to freshen it up or simply because the new owner preferred a brighter, more traditional look. Today, It wears that white over black combination with quiet dignity, but knowing it was born as a triple black Cobra Jet Convertible adds a certain mystique. Beneath the surface, it's still the same dark storm it was in 1970. Our story finds this Mustang resting in Indiana, surrounded by automotive royalty. The garage that houses it also shelters a 1970 Shelby GT500 convertible, one of only 90 produced that year. The Cobra Jet and the Shelby share the same lineage, but here's the twist. The Mustang is actually rarer. In raw numbers, Ford built fewer 428 CJ convertibles than Shelby did GT500 drop tops. It's an irony that collectors appreciate deeply. For all the fame that surrounds the Shelby name, the pure Ford-badged Cobra Jet, in convertible form, sits higher on the pyramid of scarcity. Despite its age, this particular Mustang has survived remarkably well. Its sheet metal remains original, a testament to how carefully it's been preserved. Beneath the hood, the original 428 CJ engine still rests, mated to its original 3-speed automatic transmission. The combination of originality and rarity makes it a near-priceless artifact in the Mustang world. While the restoration changed the color, the bones of the car, the metal, the motor, the mechanical soul remain authentic. It's not a clone, not a tribute, not a Frankenstein rebuild. It's the real thing standing on its own merit. The current caretaker of this treasure is Nate from Nate's Classic Cars, a name well known among Mustang enthusiasts. Nate specializes in first-generation Mustangs, especially high-performance examples, the kind of cars that made Ford legends in the first place. His garage is more like a museum, filled with machines that each tell a chapter of the Mustang story. But this car, he admits, isn't for sale. Not now, not soon. It's a piece too rare, too personal to part with. In a world where nearly everything has a price, some cars transcend the marketplace. They become heirlooms, icons, anchors to a time that will never return. Still, one can't help but wonder what it would fetch if it ever did go under the hammer. In January 2025, a red 1970 Mustang convertible equipped with the same 428 Cobra Jet engine sold for a jaw-dropping $396,000. That car didn't have air conditioning. It wasn't one of two. It wasn't originally triple black. Theoretically, Nate's car could command even more. Perhaps $500,000. Perhaps more if two collectors with deep pockets decided they both must have it. And they would be justified because once you're talking about fewer than 50 built, and only 2 with factory AC, you're in the realm of true automotive art. The 1970 Mustang itself was a transitional design, marking the end of the original body style that debuted in 1964. By this time, Ford had widened the car, giving it a lower, meaner stance. The quad headlights of the 69 were gone, replaced by a cleaner single-lamp setup. The rear taillight panel had been revised, and subtle changes to trim and badging gave it a more refined appearance. It was the calm before the storm. 1971 would bring the much larger, heavier body that many enthusiasts consider the end of the true pony car era. So the 1970 model year sits in a sweet spot, mature, muscular, but not yet bloated. For purists, it's the last Mustang that truly carried the spirit of the 1960s. When you slip behind the wheel of a 1970 Mustang 428 Cobra Jet convertible, you're not just entering a car, you're stepping into a living time capsule. The smell of aged vinyl, the feel of the big steering wheel, the mechanical click of the shifter, they all speak of an era when driving required presence and intent. Turn the key, and the 428 CJ awakens with that deep, unmistakable rumble, the kind that vibrates through your chest and makes conversation impossible. The engine idles roughly, impatiently, like a caged animal. Press the throttle and the response is immediate, a wave of torque that feels limitless. It's raw, it's imperfect, it's glorious. For many collectors, the appeal of a car like this goes far beyond numbers or horsepower. It's about connection to history, to craftsmanship, to a time when cars were simpler but somehow more alive. Each detail tells a story. The way the hood scoop feeds cold air to the engine, the way the chrome trim catches the sunlight, the way the convertible top folds down like a curtain revealing a stage. Even the imperfections, the patina, the faint smell of fuel, the creak of aged upholstery, add authenticity. You can restore paint, rebuild engines, replace trim, but you can't manufacture soul. That's why cars like this 428 CJ convertible are cherished not merely as investments, but as living reminders of what American motoring once stood for. They remind us of a time when performance wasn't about computers or driving modes, but about courage, skill, and mechanical brilliance. The Cobra Jet wasn't built for efficiency. It was built to conquer the quarter mile, to outmuscle the competition, to make a statement. In that sense, it represents the purest form of American excess, unapologetic, ambitious, and loud. As the decades have passed, many of these cars have vanished. Some were raced into oblivion, others rusted away in barns or backyards. To find one that not only survives but retains its original engine, transmission, and body panels is like unearthing a relic from a lost civilization. It's not just a survivor, it's a storyteller, carrying the marks of every mile, every owner, every choice made over 55 years. When Nate's team carefully loads the car into a trailer, you can feel the reverence in the air. It's not just metal and rubber they're moving, it's history. The brief footage that exists shows the car rolling gently into the enclosed hauler, sunlight glinting off its white paint. There's no burnout, no roar, no showmanship, just quiet respect. It's almost ceremonial, as if the car itself knows it's being preserved for something greater. In the grand narrative of the Mustang, the 1970 428 Cobra Jet convertible occupies a special place. It's a symbol of transition, of peak performance meeting inevitable change. The muscle car era was about to face new challenges: emissions controls, safety regulations, and the oil crisis that loomed on the horizon. The Cobra Jet represented the last breath of unrestricted power before the industry began to restrain itself. It was the final blaze before the dimming of the light. Today, when enthusiasts gather at car shows or auctions, the talk often circles back to authenticity and provenance. Car like this checks every box. Original drivetrain? Yes. Documented rarity? Undeniable. Emotional impact? Off the charts. It's the kind of car that doesn't just draw crowds, it stops conversations. People who know. Those who don't, feel it anyway. Imagine the first owner, in 1970, walking into a Ford dealership and ticking the boxes for a convertible, the 428 CJ, automatic transmission, air conditioning, and black-on-black trim. They weren't buying a daily driver, they were commissioning an experience. That single decision birthed a one-of-one Mustang that would outlive trends, owners, and even the era that created it. Decades later, it stands as proof that sometimes rarity is not designed but discovered. There's something poetic about how the car's journey mirrors the story of American performance itself. Built for the open road, tested by time, and now preserved as a symbol of what was possible when ambition and engineering met without compromise. Its survival speaks volumes about the passion of those who refused to let it fade. In the quiet of Nate's garage, surrounded by other legends, this 1970 Mustang 428 Cobra Jet convertible doesn't need to shout to make its presence felt. Its story is written in steel, its legacy sealed in every piston stroke of that massive FE engine. It's not just a car, it's a declaration of speed, of craftsmanship, of an era that dared to dream in cubic inches. And though it may never again see the fury of a drag strip or the endless horizon of Route 66, it doesn't have to. Its mission is complete. It exists now as a benchmark, a reminder, a relic of mechanical perfection forged at the height of America's automotive golden age. The fact that fewer than 50 people ever had the chance to own one only adds to the gravity of what it represents. So when you see it being gently rolled into that trailer, remember, it's not just being moved, it's being enshrined. Every Mustang tells a story, but only a few tell it this well. And of all the chapters written under the blue oval banner, the 1970 428 Cobra Jet convertible stands as one of the rarest, loudest, and most beautiful of them all. A monument to power, passion, and the pursuit of perfection.